In Chicago lived Danny Muldoon, a police officer, a man of honor and duty. In his 38 years, he was lonely, but not because he didn't want love, but rather because of circumstances that held him tightly in check. His heart belonged to the town, but even more so to his mother. Rose Muldoon was a woman of character, bossy and demanding, but deep down loving and caring. After her husband's death, Danny took responsibility for the family. He felt obliged to protect his mother, as if she were a fragile treasure that could break at any moment. He often had nightmares in which something terrible happened to her, and these dreams only strengthened his resolve to be there for her, always on the lookout for her well-being. His brother Patrick had settled into life a long time ago. He was married, had children, and was successfully building a career as a lawyer. Patrick loved Danny, but did not understand his affection for Rose. He constantly urged his brother to leave everything and move to Florida with his mother. But Danny could not so easily let go of the past. He could not imagine his life without Rose. Rose, in turn, didn't want to let go of Danny. She was used to his care, his attention. She knew he loved her, and she loved him back, though she showed her love in her own way, often criticizing, nagging and controlling his every move. She didn't want him to get married. She was afraid that if another woman came into his life, she would lose him. There was a special atmosphere in the house where Danny and Rose lived. The smell of Irish food, loud arguments, and endless conversations were all part of their lives. Rose's roommate was a Greek named Nikakropoulos, a middle-aged man with a good heart and a sense of humor. He was in love with Rose and was constantly trying to win her favor. He brought her flowers, cooked Greek food for her, and told her jokes, but Rose remained adamant. She didn't want any romantic relationship. She wanted Danny by her side. One day while on duty, Danny met Teresa Luna, a funeral home employee. Teresa was a beautiful, intelligent, and independent woman. She was the complete opposite of Rose, and that's what attracted Danny. He felt that with her he could be himself, that he could be free of the burden of responsibility for his mother. Teresa, too, was fascinated by Danny. She saw him as a kind and compassionate man who needed love and support. They began dating, and Danny felt happy for the first time in a long time. He told Teresa about his mother, his fears, and hopes. Teresa listened to him with understanding and sympathy. However, their relationship ran into Rose's obstacle. When Rose found out about Teresa, she became furious. She felt that Teresa was taking Danny away from her. She began criticizing Teresa, saying mean things about her, and doing everything she could to destroy their relationship. Danny was caught between two fires. He loved his mother, but he also loved Teresa. He didn't know what to do. He tried to please both of them, but it only made things worse. Rose became more and more demanding and Teresa became more and more frustrated. One day during dinner, Rose made a scene. She accused Teresa of wanting to separate her from Danny, of not being worthy of his love. Teresa couldn't take it anymore and left. Danny was desperate. He realized he had to make a choice. He talked to Rose. He explained to her that he loved her, but that he had to live his own life. He told her that Teresa made him happy and that he couldn't give up that happiness for her. Rose was stunned. She had never seen Danny so determined. She realized that he truly loved Teresa and that if she continued to stand in his way, she would lose him forever. After a long and agonizing night, Rose made a decision. She called Teresa and asked her to come over. When Teresa arrived, Rose apologized to her for her behavior. She said that she wanted Danny to be happy, and that if Teresa made him happy, she would not stand in the way of that. Teresa was surprised, but she believed Rose. She saw sincerity and remorse in her eyes. She hugged Rose and they both cried. After this event, the relationship between Danny, Rose and Teresa became much better. Rose began to accept Teresa as part of the family. She even started giving her advice on how to care for Danny. Danny was happy. He had finally found a balance between his love for his mother and his love for Teresa. He realized that it was possible to love two women at the same time without betraying either of them. Soon Danny and Teresa were married. The wedding was attended by all their friends and family including Rose. Rose was very happy for Danny. She saw that he had found his true love and that he would be happy with Teresa. Danny and Teresa settled in a small house not far from Rose's house. They visited her often, and Rose was always happy to see them. Nikakropoulos continued to court Rose, but she still rejected his proposals. She realized that her heart was already taken and that she could never love another man. However, she appreciated his friendship and attention. Danny continued to work for the police force. He was a good officer, fair and honest. He loved his job, but he also loved his family. He spent all of his free time with them. Danny, Teresa, and Rose lived happily ever after. They learned to love each other, accept each other for who they were, and forgive each other's mistakes. They realized that love is the most important thing in life and that if you have love, you can overcome any difficulties. Eventually, Danny realized that his loneliness was not so much the result of circumstances, but of his own choices. He had allowed fear and a sense of duty to rule his life, and it was only by freeing himself from these shackles that he was able to find true love and happiness. Danny Muldoon's story is a story about love, duty, and freedom. It is a story about the importance of being true to yourself and your feelings, and the importance of being able to forgive and love. It is a story about how even in the biggest and noisiest city you can find your soul mate if you are ready to open your heart to love.